Today I'll be putting my tri-suit on under the wetsuit because I want to go for a quick run after the swim.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. Right, boys. Sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
Hey guys, welcome back. I just got back from my swim and run. So I just need to rinse out my wetsuit. And then I'm gonna have something to eat because I'm feeling pretty hungry. Even though I had a breakfast bowl from Kauai earlier, I feel like I burnt a lot of calories, and I didn't take anything between the swim and the run, which I didn't really think about, but I should have taken something in between the swim and the run. Yeah, so I'm just gonna rinse this out and yeah, have something to eat. So it's actually very important that I air dry my wetsuit and not sun dry it because the sun can easily damage it. So here's what I'll be having for lunch. Some leftovers from yesterday. I've also made a salad with lettuce, some green spinach, parsley, feta, and feta, tomatoes, and some blueberries. So according to this, I just spray the bike, give it a minute and rinse it off. I don't have to do any scrubbing or anything. Let's see if that works. This is the part I've probably been looking forward to the most. Do you guys remember these seedlings? Well, I have a whole bunch of these seedlings that I started a couple of weeks ago. I'll link the video up here for you guys to check out that episode. So I'm going to be transplanting these because I think they're starting to plateau because there aren't enough nutrients in here, so I'm gonna have to move these guys over to the beds, but I'm gonna have to do a bit of cleaning on the beds because there's some weeds, and then I'll transplant these guys and hopefully they can grow and bloom. Let's get started. So I've just been talking alone for the past 5 minutes thinking that I had hit record, but I didn't. So what I was saying was, so the reason I have two mics, if you've noticed, is because there's been an issue in my previous videos where the sound can only be heard on one side of your earphones. If you are using earphones to listen to or to watch my stuff rather. So to come around that, I'm going to be using two mics going forward so that you can hear me on both sides. I still haven't found like a permanent fix for that, because depending on which mic I have on, you might hear me on your left or right, but right now you should be able to hear me on both sides, hopefully. And if not, please let me know in the comments. I'm just getting rid of weeds here to make space for my seedlings. And it's been a while since I last de-weeded this garden. I think if you remember, I recently planted these. Oh my goodness, these things are being destroyed. What the hell? Look at that, you guys. It's worms. How crazy is this? Wow, this is insane. I'm just gonna throw them in my decomposing bin. Or my decomposer rather. So I literally planted these like a couple of weeks ago. This is kale and it's grown quite considerably. and I also have some spinach and Swiss chard, but I see most of my stuff is getting eaten by snails and stuff. I should try and find a way to control pests without affecting the quality of my crops. And another thing I've realized is that what I've learned rather from this whole experience is that it's very important to grow stuff that you consume a lot of on a daily basis, or on a regular basis rather, because a lot of stuff ends up going to waste. Like I've been growing a lot of things that I don't necessarily use on a daily basis or on a regular basis, so most of the stuff ends up going to waste, as you'd expect, because it's not the stuff I use or I make. So keep that in mind if you are planning on starting a garden of yours. So I'm just getting rid of these beans because they've honestly served me. They do not owe me anything. So I'm just gonna get rid of them to make space for the new growing season. Yeah. Okay, I think I have enough space. Maybe not enough, but just enough to transplant some of the stuff. Let's see what we have. So here I think we have ourselves some beans. So this is a different variety from the ones I was growing, and hopefully I can enjoy these as well. And then here I have some pumpkin, and I believe this is watermelon. So the way I designed this particular bed is that it has some railing here on top, which I'm able to hang strings or use these sticks for plants to grow on or to climb on, and then just tangle around the rails that I've constructed there on top. I think it's a pretty effective mechanism, but I'm yet to see it I've seen it in practice, but it would be more interesting to see it with this variety of crops that I'll be growing. Okay, let's get straight into it. I just hope these things don't get eaten by snails and worms. I would be so mad. Look at how much roots are on this thing. So yeah, they've definitely plateaued, so they need to move to a bigger environment where there's more reach for their roots to continue growing even further. Because these will be growing upwards, I'm not gonna really worry myself about spacing them that much, because I expect them to grow upwards, even though the roots are obviously gonna expand. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how these turn out, because last summer rather, I had a pretty successful season. I think on here I have cucumbers. Yeah, it's purely just cucumbers on here. Remember, my style of growing is not very conventional. I use intuition instead of following guidelines. So please don't be alarmed if you see me doing something unusual. Okay, that's about it. So this is what I meant by growing what you use on a regular basis. Most of the stuff I'm growing here, so I have what is this thing called? Mustard chard. I have some spinach. I have some cabbage, which is not ready to harvest, which is not ready yet. I also have some pok choy, which I've never even touched, to be honest. So going forward, I'm just going to focus on growing stuff that I consume on a regular basis instead of just growing stuff for the sake of growing stuff. So I've been eating quite a lot of the Swiss chard. Not Swiss chard, what do you call this thing again? Mustard chard. In Sotho, we call it spaile. So that's... I'm pretty familiar with this particular one, so I've been having quite a bit of it, mixing it with spinach. But for the rest of the stuff, I'm obviously gonna eat some cabbage. There's like 6 heads of cabbage, which is looking pretty good. Just going forward, I'll just minimize, the stuff that I don't consume. I'll show you an example. I'm just gonna get rid of this, in fact. So this is pok choy. As you can see, it's like demolished by snails and whatnot. And the reason this is happening is because I never bothered to harvest it because I don't use it in my everyday cooking. I just need to be a lot mindful going forward, because this is pretty wasteful considering the amount of energy and resources that went into growing this stuff. But we learn as we go. I'm just gonna head over to the shops before they close, get what I need, and come back and meal prep. I'll probably go to gym for like 30 minutes, do some strength and conditioning, stretch, come back, cook, and call it a day. Do a quick meal prep. So we're making some ground beef together with these red kidney beans, and I'll also be roasting this chicken. I'm not gonna roast it whole. I'll cut it into pieces and roast it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'll be having this week. That'll be for lunch and dinner. If this runs out, I'll obviously have to cook other things. On days when I go to the office, on office days, I sometimes have lunch at the office, so I'll be factoring that in as well. I'm also gonna meal prep some breakfast. So there's this chia pudding breakfast thing that I saw on Instagram, so I'll be making that. Actually, my girlfriend showed me that. so I'll give her credit. I tried it last week and it was pretty nice, so I'll be meal prepping that this week as well. So I think I'm just gonna skip to the part where I do the meal prep. Oh, I also got some spinach and some mustard chard from my garden. So I just left it soaking in the sink with some bicarbonate and vinegar just to get rid of all the worms and the seeds and all the worms, the eggs, whatever that's on there will get killed by the bicarbonate. So I'm gonna make that as well. Yeah. Quickly prep my breakfast while I wait for the food to cook. So this is pretty easy. So what I have here is some strawberries and blueberries. I'm just gonna lightly blend them together to create like a puree, and then I'll show you what's next. So the reason I'm combining these two is because I've tried them separately and the flavor profiles aren't that strong for me not to put them together, if that makes sense. But anyway, so I'm gonna try a combination of these two, and then I'm also gonna make one banana as well. Okay, so that wasn't likely, but I've pureed my blueberries and strawberries. So what I have here is some plain yogurt. I have some left over as well. So what I'll do is also grab chia seeds. Chia seeds right here. And so I'm going to be using 3 tubs or 3 containers, 1, 2 and 3. I'll start off by adding the yogurt. like a generous amount. A very generous amount. Okay, do the same for these two. And then I'll take my puree. Top that with my puree. I mean, you can go as crazy as you want here, I guess. But I'm just gonna keep it pretty simple. So there goes the puree. And then the exciting part. So I'll do the bananas separately. Like generous amount of chia seeds. So this will create like a chia seed pudding kind of consistency. Okay, I'm just gonna top this off with chia seeds as well. Apparently these are very high in protein, but they're also very tasty. So what I usually do is in the morning I just have this with some honey and then top it off with some fresh fruit. Can you see how beautiful this looks already? I guess you could also like top it off with some muesli as well. That's a big one. Okay. And then I'm gonna close these up. Pop them in the fridge. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to give the video a like if you enjoyed watching. I mean, if you've made it this far, I'm pretty sure you enjoyed it, so go ahead and give it a thumbs up. So I'm just gonna take a shower. I'm exhausted. Take a shower, have dinner, and call it a night. Catch you guys in the next one.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling with